If you are on the autoimmune protocol diet, AIP, like me, or if you are paleo, vegan, into clean eating, dairy-free, nut-free, have I got a recipe for you? Now, if you're on AIP like I am, you may have found that you have to learn to cook with all different baking products that are organic, clean eating, free of all the bad stuff, all the processed bad stuff. And there is a learning curve, my friends, when cooking and baking with these items, I have found. So today, welcome to the AIP Test Kitchen. If you have a sweet tooth like I do, I've got you covered. This is one big experiment to make moist brownies that will be so good they will melt in your mouth. Is it possible to yield that sort of result using these baking products? That is the real question. We will find out today. Real quick, I cannot take credit for this recipe. I found it from a food blogger. She says these brownies are, she's very happy with the way these brownies turned out. And I have found that a lot of people that try to make clean eating brownies, the one problem they have is they crumble, they fall apart. I think that's not going to be the case with these, but let's see. I'm going to add one thing at the end. I'm going to hit it with one product at the end. And I think it's going to be like the icing on the cake, so to speak. I will link her blog below and you'll be able to get the full recipe there. Again, I want to give her credit because I didn't come up with it. Let's get into what you're gonna need. By the way, if you guys don't have any of these products, maybe you're new to it just like I am, I will link everything below in my Amazon store so you'll be able to go there and purchase things or see what it looks like, and then when you go to the store, you'll be able to know what to pick up. This will be our chocolate source, cacao powder, tiger nut flour. I mean, are these brownies gonna roar at us? Beef gelatin, shredded unsweetened coconut, arrowroot powder, organic coconut oil, 100% maple syrup, organic vanilla without the alcohol, and baking soda. Apparently there's a baking soda you're supposed to have on AIP. I don't have it, so I'm just gonna go with regular baking soda. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it in the slightest. That's it. Let's build these brownies. First, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. I have a little casserole dish that looks like this. And to that, I'm going to get some parchment paper and line it. You're gonna set the parchment paper on top, and then once your brownie mixture is complete, you'll pour it in here like this. This will allow you to, once the brownies have cooled, to just lift them out and be able to slice them up beautifully. You're going to start out by heating up your coconut oil, carob powder, organic vanilla, and maple syrup over a low heat on the stovetop. Now, once you've done that, you're gonna move over to all your dry ingredients, which are tiger nut flour, salt, baking powder, and your arrowroot starch. I have my little saucepan. I'm gonna go in with a half a cup coconut oil. One-third maple syrup. You could use maple syrup or honey, but I'm telling you, go with the maple syrup. Three tablespoons of your carob powder. We're gonna add a teaspoon of organic vanilla. Now you can see here, I've got all my wet ingredients. I'm gonna set that aside and I'm gonna gather my dry ingredients to go in this bowl. Once I have the dry ingredients ready to go, I will take this over to the stove and we will heat it up on a low heat and then incorporate it into our dry ingredients. I'm gonna go ahead and take this over here and just get it out of the way. Next, we are going to add a cup of tiger nut flour. Did you know that tiger nuts are not actually a nut? The name is actually sort of deceptive, but they're actually tubers that grow in the ground and then they're ground up. So if you've never used tiger nut flour, this is sort of what it looks like. 1 cup in the bowl. Next, we're gonna go in with 3 tablespoons arrowroot starch. Now, if you're not familiar with arrowroot starch, it's an excellent grain-free substitute for cornstarch, and it can be used for several different baking things, like thickening. It can be used as an egg substitute, even a baking powder substitute. So this is a good thing to have on hand when baking and cooking. 3 in the bowl. 1. I'm gonna use 1/4 teaspoon pink salt instead of sea salt. A 1/2 teaspoon baking soda. So here are all the dry ingredients. I like to kind of just incorporate them, get any powdered chunks kind of separated, so that when I pour my wet ingredients in, it goes very smoothly. So I had a few clumps in here, and you just kind of want to work it out. Kind of push them out and make it all crumbly. So when you get those wet ingredients in, you don't have to deal with that. So I've just placed the heat on. I'm gonna stir it on a low heat, and then I'm gonna dump it into the dry ingredients. You just wanna stir until everything is incorporated, and then pull it off the heat. Let's go dump it. What I did was I kept mixing it until I got all the little powdery chunks out, and then this is what it looks like. Okay, now we're gonna go in with our beef gelatin. That's gonna act as our egg substitute, and then we'll be able to throw it on top of the parchment paper and bake it at 350 for, I think, 25 minutes. Okay, one of the last things to do is to prepare the gelatin egg. It says to take 2 tablespoons of room temperature water and add that to a small dish. I've got a little small dish. And then it says to sprinkle the gelatin over the top and allow to sit for 2 to 3 minutes. And you're supposed to add 1.5 tablespoons grass-fed gelatin. Now, I have tried this in a recipe before and I did exactly that. I guess it's supposed to bloom. I don't know. I would not recommend that because I've tried this and it's like it turns into rubber. So what I did was I just went in with 4 tablespoons warm water. I added the, 1.5 tablespoons grass-fed gelatin to the water, and then I whisked it vigorously. And then I threw it into the batter. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I don't always follow recipes. Call me a rebel. Beef gelatin, 1.5. Then we've got our We've got to whisk this vigorously. I feel like a mad scientist. So you see, that egg gelatin makes like an egg substitute, and this makes a nice silky brownie batter. See? Now we can pour it. Make sure you stir it up really good. And now we can pour it on top of the parchment paper. Take your bowl and give it a couple taps so everything kind of settles. In 350 for 25 minutes, you're going to want to have a toothpick nearby, and when the timer goes off, you're going to want to go in and make sure it comes out nice and clean. And that's how the batter looks. All right, let's put it in the oven. Okay, the timer just went off. Let's see where we're at. Looks good. Smells amazing. Take a toothpick. I'd say another 5 minutes. Done. Okay, so when you bake this, roughly 25-30 minutes. Next, while it's still hot, you're gonna let it cool on the stove top for, I'm gonna let it cool about 15-20 minutes. But right now, while it's warm, I'm going to take unsweetened shredded coconut, and I'm gonna sprinkle it all over the top. That's the part I'm adding. I don't think she had that added in her recipe, but I'm gonna try it. So if you sprinkle the coconut on while it's nice and warm, fresh out of the oven, the coconut will adhere to the brownie so that when you cut them, they will look beautiful, sprinkled with all the white coconut. All right, let's let it cool. Then I'm gonna get the cutting board out and we are gonna slice these puppies up. We're gonna do a taste test because what cooking episode wouldn't be complete without a taste test, just saying. All right, guys, let's see if these brownies taste as good as they look. What we're gonna do is lift this right out, slice them up. These brownies are not falling apart at all. They are moist. Look at this. I'm gonna take a bite. I just can't wait. Let's take a bite. Oh my gosh. This right here, hands down, is probably the best brownie AIP style I have ever tried. You guys have to try this. Look at that. Super, super moist. They're not crumbling on you. The crunch of the coconut on top is thebomb.com. You guys have to try this. Your husbands, your children, your grandchildren will like these. They're that good. No joke. I wouldn't lie. And I'm a foodie. Don't worry, I'm not going to eat it. I just want to show you. I want you to see how good these look. You must try. So, if you're watching your weight, you're just doing clean eating, you're all about organic, you're gluten-free, vegan, dairy-free, nut-free, and everything in between, even if you're not on a diet, you should try those. I'm going to give those an A+. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say 20. I'm confident you will like them. One other thing I forgot to add is if your batter gets too thick, I just added a splash of warm water to kind of loosen up the batter so I can mix it really good. So if you find that your batter's too thick, just add a splash of hot water and mix it up. You'll be fine. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I want to thank all of you again for your comments on last week's video. I've been doing great, so thank you. Thank you. Sometimes we all need a good kick in the pants, and some of us need just some good words of wisdom, and it inspires us to get back on track. So once again, thank you guys. All right, I will see you next week, guys. Love you. We can do this. Mwah. Bye.